Good morning. This is Lisa Niver from We Said Go Travel, and I am beyond thrilled and excited to be bringing you the New York publishing powerhouse, Zibby Owens. Hi, Zibby.
Hi, how are you?
I am so honored to be here with you. You have really changed publishing, and I can't thank you enough for being so committed to memoir and women's books and being an incredible ambassador and book messenger.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I have fun.
You definitely do. And I know there's so much going on in your life. So thank you for taking this time. You're in the middle of writing a new novel, Blank, right?
Yes, it's almost, it's done, but now we've been, all the process of editing, copy editing, blah, blah, blah. So very close to the finish line.
And so Blank is coming out next year, early 2024.
Comes out in March. Yes.
Oh my
Tentatively
goodness.
March 5th. Yeah, but we'll see.
I
Maybe.
I love that it's coming out during Women's History Month.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, I knew that too. No,
I
I
love
didn't.
how you planned that. Good job.
But that's right, because we had a book this year come out in Women's History Month. Women are the fiercest creatures, and timed it to International Women's Day. So maybe yeah. But it's not like a female empowerment book at all or anything. But it's funny. But anyway, but it can't hurt. It can't hurt.
But you are so much about empowerment and exercise and creating your own path. I mean, you literally were like, I'm going to have a book publishing company. So tell us about Zibby's books.
Yeah. It's hard. It's definitely hard. I'm not afraid of hard work, but the industry itself is tricky to navigate as a new player. But our publisher, which is the codename CEO basically for a publishing company, Anne Massetti, used to run Viking and Anchor, so she knows everything about the ins and outs of the business. And we have a great team, but I really did it because of my love of authors, and I idolized authors my whole life as a huge reader. I'm still a huge reader, obviously, but this all comes from such a place of passion and fun. Like I read books all the time. I read if I'm in a bad mood, in a good mood, like it's my go-to thing. So being able to publish other people's books after I talked to so many authors on my podcast, Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. I've had like 1,600 episodes or something. After I talked to so many people, I was like, everybody keeps complaining about all these things about publishing. Like, somebody needs to do something about it. And who's going to do it? So I waited and waited. And I was like, could I be the one to do something? So I decided to try.
I think that's very Jewish too, that it is. It's like what do we say is the person that saves one life saves a whole world.
Mm,
And I love that you talk about being a book messenger and that you're bringing books to life is incredible.
thank you. Now I get so much satisfaction when I recommend a book and somebody reads it and then they're like, that book changed my life, or I never would have read that book without you and I loved it. I love hearing that. That's like my favorite thing.
I also noticed I loved your memoir bookends.
Thank you.
And I noticed in your book, you really write a lot about the books you were reading at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for myself, when I've been traveling, it was so interesting to me. Like books kind of just appeared to me. And I was like, oh, this book is perfect. It explains either how I'm feeling or where I am. And
It's so funny how that happens. I started this book, Everything All at Once by Steph Catadall. I started it in the month it came out. It came out in May rather, and I just didn't have the time to finish it. It wasn't like on the calendar for soon enough in my podcast lineup, and so I just never had a chance to read it. And I even packed it on a few trips, and I was like, I'm going to skip the line because I really want to read this one. But then I never ended up being able to do it until finally I read it, and I was literally in Japan with my kids on like their first big family trip like this. And it talks about how she was in Japan. And I'm like, what is the odds? It's so crazy. So I don't know. Things just happen for a reason. I believe that.
when something like that happens to me, I think I'm in the right place.
Mm,
Like it's confirmation. I was supposed to pick this book up now. And I was supposed to be here now, or you're supposed to be here with your kids on their first trip reading this book. That it's like the universe's confirmation, like, check, good job.
yes, I like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's sometimes, and I mean, I do in your book, like you talk about love and loss and literature, and you really did have so much loss. And I appreciate that you really share with people how hard it was.
Yeah. I mean, for anyone who's lost someone, as I'm sure most people have at some point, or they will at some point, you know, it's not something you easily get over. And if the people in your closest circle aren't familiar with grieving or don't grieve in the same way, that can also be really isolating. And yeah, it's there are no strings you can pull. The person is gone. You can't do anything. You can't redo anything. Like, I'm all about changing things, shifting things, even with the publishing company. Like, okay, that's not working, so let's try this. Or, you know, okay, I'm going to change this. I'm going to change this flight. No, let's not go here. Let's go there. This is like, there's no changing. There is no like backup. Let's redo it. I find a better way. Da da da. No, like there's non-negotiable, and I hate that. So it's very humbling, and it, you know, I think learning how fragile life was from, you know, my mid-20s, which is late compared to a lot of people who've lost parents or loved ones early, but losing my college roommate on 9/11 was just in such a big dramatic way, was, yeah, life-changing. But I would never say anything positive about it, but I will say one thing that came from it is this heightened appreciation for sort of life and death. And I was always that kind of person, you know, like an old soul, like very aware, but something like that just like blew the gates wide open.
I can't even imagine how hard it'd be to lose that kind of close friend. And I just really appreciate when people are honest about how hard certain things are. And at the same time, a thing I loved about your book was that you really modeled setting clear boundaries, that you're like, this book is about these things, and this book is not about, you know, certain things in my family. My first marriage and my kids is private. It's not in this book. And I thought that's really great boundary setting and example, showing people what they don't have to tell everything in every book. And some things are just for you.
You know, it's so funny because so many people told me I had to put all of it in. Like, you have to include it. You can't just skip over this. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to include it. And I'm going to do it anyway. And I've had so many people reach out, even just an email this morning. I love that, you know, thank you for doing that. And thank you for not including that. So it all works out.
Well, but I think that we get fed certain messages about what it's like to be an author, or what it's like to be a mom, or how to be divorced. And you're like, no, everybody, certain human emotions are common. But even like you're saying about grief, like we have this imagination that it takes this long. But I imagine on her birthday every year, you still miss her, and maybe even every single day. And that's your path. And that I just really appreciated, you know, sharing about your family. And I see your books behind you. I know in the book you talked about after COVID rearranging all your books.
Yeah, actually, these are not the ones I rearranged, although these are, I did do this shelf during COVID also, but yeah, this used to be like a guest bedroom. I'm out on Long Island where we go for the summer, and in COVID, I was like, nope, I need an office. Sorry, like, we have no guests anyway. It's COVID, so yeah, I took it over.
So, speaking about being out in Long Island, your life changed because of tennis.
It did. It did. Yeah. Hence my t-shirt I'm wearing. This like love tennis t-shirt. My life changed because of tennis. I met my now husband Kyle when he was like subbing for a friend of his to teach my then 8-year-old son a tennis lesson. And my son hated tennis at the time and only wanted to play football. And I forced him to play anyway because that's just what I did. I was much stricter then. And I was like, it's good for you. You got to run around. And yeah, he went out on the court, and Kyle told me to come out a few minutes later. And he was like, yeah, your son doesn't like tennis. I was like, yeah, I know that. He's like, well, I don't think you should be taking tennis lessons. And I was like, well, I do. He's like, well, he's not going to take tennis lessons with me. Anyway, I was furious. He wasn't even supposed to be the teacher, right? This is supposed to be his favorite teacher, Fabio. Anyway, I was totally annoyed by the whole thing. But then I had bought all these lessons for my son, and I love tennis, and my tennis pro at that place had just left, and Kyle had been coaching on the WTA tour and like running tennis programs, and had just gotten out to the Hamptons to teach And I was like, well, maybe I'll take some lessons this summer. And I didn't see him again for what, 5 months, something like that, 6 months. And things had changed in my life by that point, and we got to know each other, and the rest is kind of history.
And you just had a big anniversary?
We did, yeah. Now we've been married for 6 years and together more than that. So yeah, it was not a rebound for anyone who thought it was.
And again, we make such a big deal about that, but who cares? You're in love and you're happy.
Yes, exactly.
People can call it whatever you want. But I loved when you were talking about him in the book and you said, my life was filled with Desitin diaper cream, not destiny.
Ugh.
But it was.
Yeah,
and I
that's right.
also loved in your acknowledgments when you thanked Fabio for not showing up the day that you met Kyle.
Yes. Well, thank you for the close read of the book. And yeah, we're still in touch with Fabio. They're still friends. So
that they should be, because it changed your whole life.
Yeah, came to our wedding.
I love those moments when it feels like that movie Sliding Doors.
Mm-hmm.
When
Yep.
you're just like, oh, I made the train and my whole life changed.
Yes.
And so tell us, your whole life probably changed when you decided to open a bookstore in Santa Monica.
Yes. My life changed. Yeah. My life changed when I decided I should just try to start a podcast. It changed everything. I can't even imagine. I could never have gotten to the things I'm doing now had I not started that. There was like no path at all. It's even crazy that led to this to begin with, but that was the most life-changing thing I think I've ever had happen.
So you said you've already interviewed 1,600 guests?
1,600 authors. Yeah.
1,600 authors. And I know you interviewed Hillary Clinton. I mean, you've interviewed the royalty of book authors.
Yeah. It's nuts. I go to the bookstore in the airport now to look around, and it's like, I know everyone. I know a lot of the authors who are coming out today, because I get pitched now all the books that, not all, many of the books that come out, and from my own reading. And I have interviewed people who don't even have new books, but who I've always loved and things like that. And so, yeah, it's nuts. Like, growing up, as much as I loved books, I didn't associate them with the author. I knew the author's name, but I didn't like think about who the author was or their author photo or whatever. And now it's like, oh, so I feel very at home. I feel like very comfortable right now, like in any bookstore environment, seeing like my friends on the shelves. It's nice.
And your bookstore in Santa Monica feels like a living room. It's so cozy. I love the feeling in there, and I love the labels on the shelves. Your bookstore doesn't have like history, travel, science fiction. It's much more, it's cozy. I love that it's obviously very carefully curated.
It's very carefully curated. I started it with 2 women I've been working with for all the other brand things from Zibby Media, but Sherry Puzzi and Diana Tramontano. And one night in my kitchen, when they were staying over in LA, we just charted out like how we could make it so that it was a curated experience when we couldn't be there ourselves to tell people what to buy or recommend things. And I had been in the habit of always doing roundups and going on TV or saying like every Mother's Day, will you please give us, a book for the best friend, a book for the aunt, da, da, da. So I think it was Sherry. I don't remember. Sherry or Diana said, put those categories. And then we said, well, let's do it by emotion. I like to shop by emotion. I love books that make me cry or books that make me laugh. So we did some by emotion. And then we just like stayed up brainstorming. And those are exactly the way the shelves are from the original drawing, which I should really frame and put up at the store now that I'm thinking of it before I lose that piece of paper. So
I love that. And soon my book is coming out, and my book is going to be on the Strong Woman shelf. It's already in the digital bookstore for Zibby's, for Strong Women. I know, I'm so excited. Thank you. So tell us more about, oh my gosh, is there a favorite author that you finally got to interview on the podcast, or is there someone you're waiting to interview?
Sorry, my dog is shaking here. I was really excited recently to interview Curtis Sittenfeld because I've been reading her books forever and had tried to interview her, and she was great. She was so great. So that was
I love her new book.
Yes, so good. Romantic comedy. I really liked it.
So good. And so you have your memoirs out, which I loved.
Thank
Your
you.
book is coming out, your novel's coming out next year, but not everybody might know that you're also a children's book author.
It's true. I wrote a children's book that was published by Penguin Random House called Princess Charming. Spoiler, it's about Prince Charming's little sister and how she feels like she just can't measure up and find her thing. Inspired by one of my kids. And so that was great. And then I actually edited 2 anthologies of essays written by authors that I did during the pandemic called Moms Don't Have Time To and Moms Don't Have Time to Have Kids.
So I have a feeling that people listening to this might be curious if you ever sleep.
I really don't sleep that much. I am not proud of that. I think I'm like, it's taking a toll. I do catch up every so often, but to be fair, I am divorced and remarried, and every other weekend I don't have the kids, like for, from Thursday night to Tuesday morning. And so I can theoretically catch up on, non-kid interrupted sleep and have all that time to like supercharge forward because when my kids are here, I'm very much with them. Like it's just the middle of the day and I had back-to-back Zooms except for 30 minutes. And my daughter showed up in her tennis outfit and was like, want to go play tennis? And I was like, okay, let's do it. Like I will stop what I'm doing. I will catch up later. So my priority is always my kids. I stop work every day. I go pick them up. I drop them off. Like there's so many of them. They're my whole life. Like, what am I going to do? Then they're also so fun and different. And so that is my main thing. But no, I don't sleep a lot. I have really given up a lot of other things. I mean, I think I'm not trying to glamorize what I'm doing. I went from not doing this and doing it slowly to now like running a huge like company, not huge, but I mean, I have 25 people and within the bookstore and all the different branches, the publishing company and classes and retreats and everything. So, and the magazine, Zibby Mag, which is, I love. So it's just a lot. And then there are things like, we have to deal with like 401ks. And I'm like, what on earth? This is not what I meant to happen. So I like never wanted to work in a company. So now I'm like running a company. What the heck? No.
But you come from a long line of people running big companies. I mean, you went to school and studied and know about all of these things too. So I mean, in a way, you've found a way to have a company like people in your family have had, an established brand, but you made it yours.
That's true. Yes, my grandfather started like a company that made trailer park window pieces like back in the day and ended up taking that public in Dayton, Ohio. And my dad started a big financial services company called Blackstone. And even my grandfather on his side started this like very nice dry goods store in Philadelphia. And my brother started a movie production company. My husband started a movie production company. So basically my model has been entrepreneurship and trying to think through problems differently and contribute and create. And yet with the kids, I just sort of thought, I stayed home with my kids for 11 years. And I was like, I guess I'm just not going to do that. I guess I'll just, but I had all this pent up energy. I don't know. Sometimes I think maybe I have like an attention problem because I always need new stuff. So I love to launch things and I love like going from thing to thing. And when people say you're doing so many different things, I'm like, yeah. And that's how I think best.
I think that it's interesting to me because there are a lot of, there's the bookstore and the publishing company, and you're an author and you're obviously a credible podcast host. They're all together.
Yeah, it's all up a piece. Yeah.
I'm hopeful. It sounds like you started with some incredible partners, and hopefully everything doesn't fall on you to do.
Right. I have a whole team who I really respect a lot and enjoy being with. So that's good. Yeah. I mean, I'm making it work, but do I exercise like I used to? No. Do I see friends as much as I want? No. But that could have been happening, I guess, anyway, and I could have not started a company. So
That is an excellent point. You are making your dreams come true of helping authors and being a book messenger. And so you mentioned something about retreats. Does that mean that people can join you or learn from
Yes,
you?
you should come.
Okay.
We have
I
only
I'll
three
sign up.
spots left for we have one coming up in the Santa Barbara wine country, September 22nd to 24th. We have a mini retreat going on in the Hamptons, July 15th and 16th. We are going to go to Austin and Miami, and then Northern California and more places around the country, and
And
maybe even internationally.
is it
It's for
to
readers. It's a readers retreat. So we always bring a few authors and have like panel discussions, but not necessarily on craft. There is some craft. So if you are a writer, it's helpful. But if you're a reader, it's interesting.
wow. Okay. And is that on where would people find more information about
That's
that?
on zibbyretreats.com.
Okay. And you also mentioned you have a magazine.
Yes, that's zibbymag.com. And soon we just got the final draft of it or whatever you call it. We're going to have a website where everything is under one house. So you don't have to like go to all these different, it's just going to be Zibby Media and everything will be under it. But zibbymag.com just won the Webby Award for Best Arts and Culture website. We were really excited about that. And it's all sort of author focused content, fun stuff like book cover trends today, and like there'll be all these funny pictures of like women, painted women, and then like bright yellow covers and clever things, and then author spotlights and personal essays by authors and roundups of things authors like or authors best 8 books of the season, things like that. So it has an author lens to it.
So are you the kind of person that like needs a piece of paper by your bed and you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, okay, I have a podcast, but now I need a magazine. Like where do the ideas come from?
Yeah, I have so many more ideas, and I've tried things that have not worked as well, and then I scaled back and decided not to do them. I like to test in small ways when I have an idea, like test it, talk to a few people, talk to a few more people. What do you think? What do you think? Like, this is my idea. I have this like vision, like what if I launched bookstores all over and I could curate like Zibby tours where an author would just have to like sign up. I mean, I know people do this, but they don't have the bookstores, so it would, like I could just have it be easy for authors. Like, because part of what I'm trying to do is help authors be more successful selling books and standing out, because it's like so hard. And as an author, I find it very hard. And anyway, so I don't know. And then sometimes I'm like, that's not possible, or maybe I'll revisit that. And, I'm also like up against a ticking clock. I'm 46 years old and, I don't know, how much can I do? 20 years, 30 years of work? I don't know. I mean, not like I want to retire, but I don't know. I'm just like, if not now, when is sort of my attitude right now. Strike while the
Yes.
iron is hot.
Yes, if not now, when? Hillel, good job. I like it. But I agree with you. Book tours is a challenge because as an author, you want to share and meet people, but there's a problem that a lot of places people don't show up. So I love the idea that if you had that, or how do you make that happen, or well, the idea I've been thinking about for my book, because my book comes out in September, is could I meet with a local author if I was in their city, and like could we work together? But again, you're right. It's a lot of um, blood, sweat, and tears. Like figure it out on your own. And you know so many people. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's so many things. There are a lot of different directions, and um, the hardest thing for me, I think, is not jumping into everything as soon as I think of it, because I'm very not impulsive, but I get very excited and want to start things right away. And I have to learn to like slow down, think it through logically.
Or maybe
Financially.
you don't, because think of all you've built. You have a
I
magazine, you have retreats, you have a bookstore, you
We
have,
have classes. We have classes that we offer, like writing classes and
you
things
do?
like that. Yep, zippyclasses.com. Yep. And we're starting in-person classes as well. So we have one starting in the bookstore, but we are going to, I think, partner with other local places and have Zibby classes offered around, in person around the country in various spots.
And is that something you're teaching, or who's teaching the classes?
No, I'm not teaching it. Although I probably should teach one at some point. But no, authors are teaching the classes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, I know you mentioned your brother and your husband have production companies. So are you thinking about getting into TV and movies?
Um, I'm excited to help people who are already in that. So I'm excited to help find content. I already sort of informally do this for a bunch of producers, and just like if I read a great book, mention it. A couple of things have come of it, which is exciting. But I am not doing it in any sort of formalized way now, although I don't know. Who knows?
And it's been amazing speaking to you, but I want to be respectful of your time. So you brought up producers. So tell everybody you have a long history with Good Morning America. So what do you
Yes.
do with them?
I have been writing their book picks of the month column online since 2020, early to mid 2020. And I do that, and sometimes I go on and do their binge this segment where I recommend different books. And I've been on for all of my books, and when I launched my publishing company, and yeah, it's been really fun. They're great.
That's amazing. So I just want to read one thing from your book that I loved, which is you said, books for me are life saving. They have been my companions, my teachers, my entertainment, my emotional outlets, my escape. They've taught me how to cook, how to love, how to mourn, how to cope, and how to feel. Many books came at just the right time. So I just want to say thank you for the incredible mountain of work you've done to support authors. And I'm so honored that you took a time to come talk with me on my podcast. And I can't wait to read Blank. I loved Bookends. I hope there's more children's books. And congratulations, you are truly a book messenger.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. This was so fun. And congrats on your book. I'm really excited to read it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And hopefully maybe I'll come see you on your retreat.
Yeah, come to a retreat. We'll talk.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.